Survivor's ready!
Direct from Hobart, it's time for you to hear those so-called experts from Survivor Oz talk about another reality show, despite the fact they always said they would only ever talk about Survivor. It's The Amazing Race Oz, and here's your host,
Noah Grove. Hello people and puppins, and welcome to another episode of The Amazing Race Oz, Australia's only Amazing Race podcast that doesn't involve a person called Ben. Or maybe Australia's only Amazing Race podcast, who knows. We're here to talk about the Jade Anniversary, Season 26, Couples versus Blonde People Who Hate Each Other, Episode 5, I believe, of the season. We're zooming through it, even though we took, a 4-month break or whatever for Kristen's basketball camp. But we're back. We didn't do any shows in between because we're lazy, but we are back to talk about the season that we all love more than Season 25, said no one ever. I am joined by almost a full house. We're missing Kristen. She's off playing some snooker this evening, so she won't be joining us. But I have 4 people joining me from the wonderful city of Melbourne. Alex Morella, welcome back to the show. I think this is only your second Amazing Race Oz for this season, so good to have you back.
Thank you, Noah. It's very good to be back.
It's good that you feel that it's good for us to feel that it's good for you to be back. I don't know what I just said. From somewhere in the United States, eating some pudding that sounds very cheezel-like, it is Rossi. Rossi, welcome back.
Whatever.
I don't know what to do with you, Rossi. Yeah. Colin, welcome back.
Thank you, and it should also be noted that we've discovered that Kristen's snooker table keeps her very busy these days, so she should be forgiven for not being here.
Hashtag in-joke. Hashtag Kristen's trapped. Hashtag Alright. And last, but will he be least, we'll find out tonight. It is Jared Lubeck, the king of the emus. Jared, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm happy that March Madness is over and we're back to Amazing April. So
yeah. Phil has never been so glad to see the end of basketball. I don't think we'll see the Filipino basketball challenge from last season return after March Madness took his beloved Amazing Race off. But never mind that. We are here to talk about episode 5 of season 26. General thoughts on the episode. I thought it was a bit of an improvement from some of the lackluster ones we've had. I think it wasn't brilliant, but it was a bit of a comeback. Probably one of the better ones of the season. Colin, what do you reckon?
I think I agree with you. It was a funny episode for sure. The show still seems to be plagued by this really bad luck with the last place team being so far behind that it's not even suspenseful. This is pretty much every single week so far, and that's really killing the season, and I don't think there's anything they could really do about it to fix it. But for what we did have in this episode, there was a lot of humor and a lot of self-destruction of the teams and everything you hope for in a blind dating season of The Amazing Race.
Jared?
yeah, I thought it was sort of a more light-hearted episode. I agree that we're still sort of missing the tension, even among the teams close to the top. It seems that there'll be a team that's sort of far ahead, as well as there being a team that's way behind. So, in that sense, it's frustrating. But I think a lot of enjoyable episodes. We saw sort of the last blind dating team that seemed to be getting along have a bit of an argument. So, feels regretting that twist.
Rossi?
Yeah, it was funny, but it was just a boring episode. There was nothing really to it, predictable ending. And the challenges have been so terrible this season. There was no suspense.
We'll talk about it more, but I thought the challenges this week weren't overly terrible compared to some we've seen.
But overall, on the whole, this has been pretty terrible for challenges.
Yeah, well, I would probably agree with that. Morella, general thoughts on the episode?
kind of echoing everyone else. But yeah, it's nice to have some conflict and nice to have a human moments. But it seems so far, but hard to keep that tension going.
So let's jump into the episode. So, unfortunately, we weren't flying to Hobart this week, so there goes an hour and a half myself and Ben wasted on each other. That sounded dirty, but anyway, we're flying to Munich, Germany, much more luxurious than Hobart, Tasmania, Australia, and they have to make their way to a clothing shop to be a part of Oktoberfest, so that was fun. March Madness and Oktoberfest. Straight off the bat, we had a confessional about Bergen and Kurt not being in love. I didn't think too much about it because we'd had one at the start of every episode, so I wasn't sure it was going to be foreshadowing. But we had to get a car, and I wrote, in brackets, classic Amazing Race, stick shift car. Jared, were you excited to see stick shift car, which seems to be always creating a bit of drama in Amazing Race season?
Yeah, it was good to see the stick shift back. I was surprised with just how many teams struggled with it. Usually sort of have the sort of one team or two team, but this one it seemed sort of like every team sort of initially had an issue and lots of teams sort of changing drivers halfway through, so I mean that was good.
Alex?
25 seasons. How have people not figured out you need to learn to drive stick before coming on The Amazing Race? I don't know how many people don't figure it out anymore. Every season you watch, someone fails at some point with a stick shift. So, I mean, why does everyone not do this before they get on the show? It befuddles me. I'll use that word. But along with that, also loving the Ford promos. Thank you for coming back again, Ford. Ford Focus, wonderful car. I might go buy one, but I already have one.
I'm sad they didn't bring back Ford C-Max Hybrid from last season. Phil was loving those ones.
I was impressed the team figured out the GPS in the car because, you know, everyone else just hilariously couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I would be terrible at anything car-related. Colin, stick shift cars are back?
I always love when people have issues with the cars on their Amazing Race. I love anything where they can bring drama from things that you think should be very simple. As Alex said, you should learn how to drive it, but at the same time, I was watching this episode, and I'm always watching it thinking, oh yeah, I would know how to do that, and I'm like, oh, I still don't know how to drive stick shift. I mean, if I ever go on The Amazing Race, I'm screwed. But my favorite episode of The Amazing Race, at least in my top 5 favorite episodes, was the season 3 episode where everybody put the wrong type of fuel in their car and they're all stalled on the side of the road.
Oh, that was great. Yeah.
I was hoping we'd get a little bit more of that, but I mean, what we saw from Bergen and Kurt was dramatic enough. I also want to point out the very early confessional from Tyler and Laura. Strike another one off the list who says, yeah, we're just friends racing together right now. If this show really wants this format to succeed in the future, they better bring in some casting directors from The Bachelor or something, because their matchmaking is awful.
Why are they showing those confessionals? You at least think they're trying to fabricate so the viewers think there's something and they kind of mess with the edit, but they're just showing blatant confessionals of people saying that this twist is shit, pretty much.
Yeah, they're not selling it. And Phil tries so hard at the end of every episode, and it's just falling flat every week for him.
Oh, poor Phil. Rossi, well, and a good question Colin brought up, can you drive stick-shift car, and what did you think of the return of the cars?
I can't drive it, so I'd be pretty useless on the race. I love the revival of the stick-shift car. Good flashback to the early seasons.
Why do they have stick-shift car? Like, why is that such a thing? Just for an extra challenge, I guess?
Well, let's be honest, when the first challenge of the episode is can you climb stairs in Lederhosen, having the challenge of a stick shift was a welcome addition to the show.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, but it just seems like it's always such a big deal, and like it seems like such a simplest. Jared, can you drive stick shift car?
I cannot, but that's always been sort of one of the things that I would learn if I got cast on The Amazing Race.
Alex, you talked about your car before, automatic or manual?
It is an automatic. I did learn in a manual for a bit, so I could probably technically drive stick, but I'd be getting many lessons before I actually turned up.
you'd probably be better than Bergen at it, that's for sure. So yeah, we had our cars. We had a bit of a drama with the switching and the fanny packs and switching drivers. We'll get into that a bit more. And we had to drive to some abandoned German, well, not abandoned, but this random German warehouse, and we had a challenge, go back to go further. And I'm not sure if Colin would have got this, but the American airing, we had a massive hashtag Winter Wonderland come up on the screen. That was fun.
Yeah, we actually did get that for a change.
Oh, you got the hashtag Winter Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling a bit of Canadian pride in cold weather type challenges, perhaps. But yeah, go back to go further. A bit of a random challenge, but it was pretty fun. My favourite bit was the part where Kurt and Bergen couldn't do it because it would involved the cars, and they left their car. But other than that, the challenge was a bit meh. I loved that they had a person dressed as a polar bear. Could they not bring back the puffin for this cameo? I'm a bit disappointed there. Rossi, go back to go further.
Yeah, but it was really nothing of a challenge. Just drive in reverse and write numbers or letters down. It was just...
It was a challenge if you didn't have a car.
Yeah, but 8 of the 9 teams had a car, so... all they did was go back.
Alex, go back, go further.
Oh, it's your cliche Ford challenge of the season where you demonstrate a good Ford feature, whether it be the one where you kick the bottom and the boot closes, or you reverse or use directions of some kind.
So, snowy terrain.
It's going to turn up at some point. Like, it would have been nice if maybe the polar bear had got in the way, because that would have
Imagine if, like, Mike and Rochelle accidentally ran over the polar bear actor or something. I remember, I think it was season 5, maybe, where 2 or 7, maybe the guys in Africa flipped their car and their cameraman was like half dead on the ground. Oh.
Yeah, I remember them.
The Greg and someone or something like that. But,
Greg and Brian.
Yeah, the cameraman almost killed their cameraman, so I'd love it if they had the polar bear actor, German guy, just bleeding on the side of the Winter Wonderland. Colin, go back to go further.
I'm feeling kind of stupid now because when I first saw this challenge, I was looking at the reindeer inside there, and I thought it was real reindeer, and I was assuming somebody was going to run one of these over. I'm like, this is a huge risk here with the wildlife of Germany.
Well, Phil is the animal charmer, so he had it all under control. He's handled puffins, dogs, flying birds. Jared, did you go back to go further?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I'd agree that it probably would have been better if somebody hit something. It makes me think of on the Sydney leg of the Amazing Race Norway, one of the teams ran over one of the clue boxes, so that was quite entertaining.
Come on, that's the first Amazing Race Norway. Hello to Freddie Dos Santos if you're listening. But you got to elaborate on that. How the hell did they do that?
Well, I think they rocked up to the detour, and then they parked their car, got their clue, went and did one of the tasks, and then came back to the car, and then as they're reversing out of sort of the parking lot, they ran straight into sort of the clue box, and then they just drove off.
That's why they had interns on the show.
It had a great dent in it for the next thing to arrive. It was barely standing up.
The most important question here is, was it a stick-shift car?
I don't know, but it was a forward drive, so it packed a bit of a punch.
I so hope that made it into the final cut of the Amazing Race Norway season 7 or whatever it was.
We have to search this on YouTube.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. So yeah, Winter Wonderland, go back, and then we had to go to rowing boats and Phil on the scene. This was one of my favourite Phil on the scenes because he said, "Will Ali and Steve be able to make a blah blah blah?" And then he goes, "Not if they row like that, they won't." So a bit of sass from Phil. That was a Jeff Probst almost. I didn't know Phil was so sassy, Alex.
Oh, he has these moments. I'm always excited for a Phil on the scene. And it was very nice to see him showing some great banter. And you could just see Stephen A. just looking at him like, how do we react to this?
Rossi, were you excited to see Phil back on the scene?
I was excited to see Phil on the scene. I forgot that those happened after the 3-year break we had with those episodes.
It really did feel like we had been gone for so long. I'm like, oh, The Amazing Race is back. It felt like the premiere or something this week.
But it was kind of sad that Phil had to be the entertaining part of it because when you have Stephen Alley in the first place, it's kind of hard to deliver on the drama.
Phil was just running alongside them the whole time, trying desperately to entertain the masses, which would be pretty good Phil Kogan commentary on The Amazing Race. But Jared, Phil on the scenes back?
Yeah, it was a good one. I'd say top 2 just behind Hey Mr. Phil.
The original Phil on the scene is the number 1 Phil on the scene. Ooh.
Definitely. I wish that he got splashed though. I thought that was a perfect opportunity for the Olympians to just bring a bit of a splash with the water from the oars, but missed opportunity.
I don't think I'd have the heart to be able to splash poor old Phil and ruin his perfect white hat, which you can buy on the CBS store, as we found out earlier on a different show. Tune in to Survivor Oz. Colin, Phil on the scene?
Yeah, the thing that I always wonder about these is often, he'll be talking and then the teams are getting to a clue box and I almost feel like they're told, okay, wait, don't say anything. And Steve and Allie were talking the whole time and that made it great. I almost was expecting either Phil or Steve and Allie to be like, would you shut up? I'm trying to do a bit here. They're talking over each other. It's nice entertainment and it would be fun for Phil to just do one just to jump out of these people, like when they're driving to the car.
Yeah, at the Winter Wonderland. Jump out in the polar bear suit, take the head off, and say, Mike and Rochelle are currently in last place. That would be good with Jonathan Penn on The Amazing Race, to banter with Phil during the Phil on the scene. That's what I want to see. So we should probably talk about hashtag Lost Fanny Pack. I always like a good Lost Fanny Pack. A good one that comes to my mind is Kenton Vixen lost a... Vixen, is that her name? I think that's her name. Yeah, Kenton Vixen lost their fanny pack on the, what do you call it, gondola? Is that the word? So that was one of my favourites. But Colin, do you like the lost fanny packs in The Amazing Race? And this specific one with Laura and Tyler?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. One, Laura and Tyler had to wait a lot longer, so it did even the teams out a little bit more. There's starting to become these unnecessary gaps with these teams, and it brought a little bit of suspense there. Also, the fact that Matt and Ashley, it was Matt and Ashley that found it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Matt and Ashley, they were debating the whole time. So what should we do with this? Like, I'm thinking, are they going to dump it out the window? What are they going to do? And then the fact they ended up hiding it under the seat. And then...
Wait, was it Matt and Ashley or Jeff and Jackie?
Jackie and Jeff.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Jeff and Jackie.
Well, when they hid it under the seat, that was great. The fact also that Tyler
that was a good
like,
twist that they had the fanny pack. Like, that was new.
Yeah, and then Tyler, the fact that he's like, yeah, they hid it under the seat. I like also that they didn't take it too personally. They're like, oh, I can't believe they tried to do that. I hate when people take the race so seriously. They almost had a sense of humor about it. That was nice.
I would have loved, because they initially approached Bergen and Kurt, who took the cab to the Winter Wonderland, and they thought it was in Bergen and Kurt's car. I would have loved it if they went back trolling through the Munich streets looking for the Bergen and Kurt car that they left on the side of the road for their fanny pack. But yeah, Alex, fanny pack gate?
Not as exciting as Taxi drives off with bag and never seen again gate, but still.
Is that a James and ABBA reference or a different?
For James and ABBA.
One of my favourite teams of all time on The Amazing Race. Love them.
Exactly. But no, look, it was entertaining. I quite liked it when Blair and Haley came and Blair tried to stop for a quick chat and find out what was going on, and Haley was having none of it.
Yeah, we'll get to Blair and Haley. Rossi, where's my fanny? What made it better was Rossi didn't reply for about 2 seconds. Left perfectly timed awkward pause.
Yeah, the fanny pack gate. Yeah, I was surprised that they were like sneaky about it, Jeff and Jackie. Not that they're being sneaky was surprising, just the fact that they kind of played it in a game way. But I feel like they would gotten a punishment or something for holding that, because that's really important. So I feel like that.
Well, they're the only ones who are really conforming to this whole let's be in a relationship thing. So I don't think they want to punish Jeff and Jackie. They're probably going to give them a reward for that.
But they punished Tyler and Laura for just opening up everyone else's cars.
Yeah, well, if we're chucking some punishments out, I think Laura and Tyler could probably get one.
And
Bergen and Kurt probably need about 10 punishments. But Jared, did you like the fannies in this episode?
The fanny pack situation was quite funny. Not as dramatic as it was sort of the preview sort of played it up to be, which is a bit of a shame, but I am happy that it brought us the fabulous Blair moment of him saying he was just craving conversation from happy people. Which is one of the quotes of the episode.
I'm not sure who's funnier, Blair or Haley, but we'll dive into that. But I think one of my favourite parts about The Amazing Race, and it rarely happens on the newer seasons, it's more an old school thing, which is why I love the older seasons. I like Amazing Race things where the drama and the stuff comes from not the challenges or not the things like that. Nothing that is structured by the production. I like the lost fanny packs, the putting the oil in the wrong car, the plane ticket drama, people stealing other people's things, taxi drivers stealing bags and that. Colin, are you more of a organic drama, or do you prefer more the challenges of The Amazing Race, if you could put it that way?
It's nice when they have both. I think the one thing this season has going against it is that the challenges are way too easy and there's not enough drama with those, but the one bonus of this season is that we're probably getting more of that natural drama of, airports and fanny packs and not being able to drive. We're getting a lot more of that than we do in most seasons, and I think that's kind of helping this season. It is nice when you can have both, though, but between the two, I always find it more entertaining when just the unpredictable things happen.
Jared, what are your thoughts on those two things?
I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of a toss-up. I think, personally, I probably prefer just sort of the drama between the teams. I like when they bicker over just stupid things, that there's no point bickering over it. Like, in this episode with, Jack, what's their name? Jeff and Jackie. Just them fighting over just stupid things like directions, and then him telling her to shut up and her just not having a bar of her. I appreciate just people just going off their heads.
Alex?
Yeah, I do love the unpredictable drama, just the things that happen that you just do not account for and just cannot picture coming. They're always, I think they're always great fun, because you, as well, just looking at everyone react to it, it's just kind of well, this wasn't part of anyone's plans. What do we kind of do now? It is always some of the most entertaining scenes, as people, searching around cities or searching everywhere.
Colin, having a massive fight with someone in Africa over something to do with hotels or flights or something, like some government official or something. People driving into restricted government areas and stuff like that.
Lucy and Amelia driving into the Sultan's Palace. Amazing Race Australia.
Yes. Rossi, what are your thoughts on those kind of things, or do you like more structure in the race?
I don't know if I prefer one or the other, but I like the competitive kind of interactions, like the way that Jeff and Jackie hid their fanny pack and things like that. Or
they're more villains on The Amazing Race. People who just fuck shit up.
Should they have just given it away then to someone else?
Yeah, although the problem with The Amazing Race is you're always at the fear of a penalty if you do something. What were those two short stunt guys from season 4, Mark and someone, and they kind of hid someone else's stuff in a challenge, and they got penalised for it and that. So you're always at the mercy of Phil during the Amazing Race if you want to be a villain. So you got to be careful. Yeah, rowing boats. We have not much to talk about there, I don't think. And we have our detour for the episode. We have Stein or Stack. Ali and Steve did the Stein, and then Blair and Haley, but they switched. Everyone else did Stack. Not great, but not terrible ones, I thought. Stein was making me incredibly thirsty, and I thought Stack looked incredibly fun. But the usual question, Jared, which one would you do, and what was more entertaining, and general thoughts on the detour?
I think personally I would have picked Stack just because I would love to climb up a tower of crates. But I think they were both interesting. I think the best thing about the Stein one was obviously just Haley struggling with it. I mean, Haley struggling at anything is great. And then the Stack, I just wish that some more people had been hit. Like, there was a great moment where Jenny is nearly sort of like crushed by the Stack after Jelani's completed the challenge, and it was just hilarious.
I would be awful at both of these challenges because I'm incredibly clumsy and I would just suck at trying to stack beer crates, so I would fail at both. Alex, same questions?
I don't think I'd be very good with my little hands at the carrying the beers, so I think I'd have to have gone for the stacks. I don't know how that would have gone either, but at least I'm light and little, so I might have been able to climb up or something.
Did you like the detours this episode?
They were entertaining. I will give them that, and I think it was good that you could kind of go through them quickly, or you could struggle dramatically in both of them. I think it was good to see kind of Matt and Ashley and Ali and Steve kind of get through the Stein really quickly, and then Blair and Haley just like absolutely stinking it up. It was quite entertaining as well.
I wish we could have a return from the grumpy guy from the Saki house in episode 1 sitting at the Stein table with, "What beer would you like?" and does not reply. I want him to make a return, but if I was those guys at the Stein house, I would be incredibly pissed off with Haley spilling this beer everywhere. Like, that's a lot of money there. Colin, detour question?
I probably would have wanted to do the stack. I'd always love to do the balancing challenges because it's something I think I might actually be good at. I think that was overall the more entertaining one to watch too. It was definitely the more challenging one from what I can tell. What I did like was in the Stein challenge, a lot of people went through it very easily, and of course it is funny, as we said, to see Haley fail, but even though we didn't get like the angry Saki guy, I mean, I found that the people, when Haley dropped it every time, they laughed so obnoxiously at her that it was kind of funny to watch. Like, they weren't just like laughing; they were like pointing and screaming and laughing, as if this is the most ridiculous woman you've ever seen in your life. And I thought,
yeah, they might be onto something. Rossi, which one would you do, and did you like them?
I would have probably gone for Stack. I don't think I could have carried enough of those. Maybe I would have probably carried the amount Haley did.
I could carry 2, 1 in each hand. But...
I was waiting for them to do that and for Blair to have like 22 or something.
Yeah, I would be so bad. I can't even, if I'm buying a round of drinks for 3 people, I can't even be the one to carry it, because I would spill it, and not even Stein's. I would be so awful at this. But yeah, I thought they were both pretty. Yeah, okay. I thought the next challenge was a bit more interesting. We had singing a different tune. Not the best singing challenge. I think season 23 had a really good singing challenge in it, but I thought this was pretty fun. The bad German song with the buckets of water being thrown on them. Rossi, what did you think about singing a different tune?
Yeah, definitely one of the weaker singing challenges in the show's history, but it was pretty funny seeing the first time they got drenched with the bucket of water.
The whole time I was thinking Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons in German. It was ay 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 ay. Like, it was just Itchy and Scratchy. That's all I could hear. Colin singing a different tune. Did you like it?
I think it was a very necessary challenge. Everybody on this league was so miserable with each other, you kind of had to do something to make them laugh. And it seemed to work. I mean, nobody was really angry or miserable throughout it. It's always good to see somebody get drenched just for being a bad singer. It's also great how many of these teams were like, oh, this one's definitely the better singer, and I'm listening to him like, really? Wow. I
thought Jackie was the star of this challenge. I loved Jackie.
Jackie was by far the star.
She was getting into it a lot. Alex singing a different tune?
Look, it'll never top the Australian Amazing Race one with Jared and Ashley trying to keep themselves in. That was just the most glorious singing, I think,
and Jessie,
ever.
the New Zealand Idol Final Four, who couldn't do it.
Yep, butchering that too. I think you'll never get that again. But look, it was entertaining, and I think seeing like kind of the four guys up the top kind of standing or grinning at each other while their maidens are getting drenched was a bit hilarious. So I was just like, well, we might not get through this challenge yet.
Germans are mean. They're just laughing at everyone.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Like, we go to, like, Pakistan, and it's just people having to build tents and do chores for the people. In Germany, it's just they're laughing at everyone. What did we do to the Germans in the last 20 years to make them hate it? Well, the Americans, anyway.
It might go back further than the last 20 years.
Well, I think there's a 20-year cutoff. I'm not going to get into this. The Amazing Race Oz is not racist. Jared, what do you think of singing a different tune?
I thought it was okay. I kind of like the stock standard singing or memory challenge. I think it has been done better, and the thing that kind of annoyed me about this was that it was sort of one of those judging challenges where after, say, one or two goes, they sort of just get fairly lenient and just let them sort of go by. And it sort of looked like the people singing actually sort of had the words written down with them, which was kind of annoying. Like, I prefer, like, I think one of my favourites of this type of challenge would be the Welsh poem that they had to read in...
Hi-ho, Heidi-ho!
Hey!
So something like that's a bit better, but I think, like, overall it was a fairly good challenge.
Yeah, I think my favourite is season 23 in Vienna with all the young choir boys laughing their asses off at the people. Partly because one of the songs was in my music history class I took at uni, so that was pretty fun. But anything else to add on singing a different tune or anything? I think we amazingly covered it. It was pretty fun.
I like that all the girls did it except for Blair.
Well, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. This is really bad for me. But did Haley not try it and then they switched, or am I remembering that wrong?
So which
Are you allowed to do that in a roadblock?
Oh, yeah, I must have been thinking of something else then. I was distracted by the itchy and scratchy sound of it.
Rossi might do it at the end as well.
Yeah, and feel free to talk if you want to, Rossi.
Michelle, I think.
It's an open forum, Rossi. You're allowed to speak. That was it in terms of the challenges. Jumping to the pit stop, we'll talk about some of the individual contestants, but coming first was Ali and Steve. They won a Ford Focus each. That was pretty good. Personally, I'd prefer a Fitbit, but that's just me. And I find this Fitbit has made it to Tasmania. I saw a commercial for Fitbit. I was jumping up and down. Fitbit's here! But there was no Phil, so that was disappointing. Well, we can talk about Ali and Steve, but can we, though? So let's group this: Ali, Steve, and Matt and Ashley together. Colin, these two teams, I don't think there's much to add from these two after this week.
I'm so disappointed with Ali and Steve. I had really high expectations coming into the season for them, and I can't really fault them. They just seem like they're one of those teams who just wants to compete. They're not really... I mean, obviously they were cast because of their semi-celebrity status, but they don't seem that interested in making good TV, and, you know, that's their choice. I think I just want 1 week where they really fail at everything just to bring out some personality from them, because I'm sure they have it. With Matt and Ashley, I mean...
They need a cyclist, like in the surfing kind of thing.
Yeah, something to create a little bit of tension with them. Matt and Ashley, the only thing I really noted in this episode was that they've officially changed their status on the show to engaged. And in a blind date versus dating season, I was wondering if is this like a conflict? Are you bending the rules now? Are you going to be forced to be eliminated or take back your engagement because this is no longer a dating versus blind dating season?
It still doesn't beat Alan and Audrey from Amazing Race Canada 2, where he pointed out that it should be saying engaged now. They flipped it on the screen. That was
changed it right on spur of the moment. Yeah, he's pointed.
The Canadians know how to do their engagement on TV, that's for sure. Rossi, Ali and Steve first. Matt and Ashley.
You know it's going to be a bad episode when Matt and Ali and Steve are in first place.
Yeah, well, that's probably going to be the finale as well, Ross.
It was just a boring episode with them in front. But the one thing about Matt and Ashley that I did want to mention was that when they got to the pit stop, Ashley said, "Oh, the blind dates are falling apart now." Mm-hmm. When nothing's really changed. Burton and Kurt were like that the whole race. Blair and Haley have been like that the whole race. Laura and Tyler have stayed the same. The only thing different is that Jeff and Jackie had one fight, and then within 10 minutes, they're like, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I said that.
I think the blind dates fell apart in that very first mud challenge. I think they've been apart the whole time.
Didn't Phil say something to Matt and Ashley too at the end? Like, you need to teach these other teams how to love, or something really awkward like that? Like, he's just so defeated with this. He's like, Matt and Ashley, teach them what love is all about.
You can't teach it. You can't force it. It just happens.
I think Phil just wanted to see them make out in front of him. That's what he was buying for. Alex, Ali and Steve, and Matt and Ashley.
Well, I picked Ali and Steve to win, and they are dominant. They're not exciting, but they're dominant, and I will praise them for being the one team to actually look at the Navitron on their Ford Focus and actually using it. So it's a win for common sense and practicality, but not for entertainment.
Yeah. Jared, same.
They're both kind of average teams. Like Matt and Ashley, I had high hopes for them, and they had a couple of good episodes, but now they're sort of just faded to the background. But I will say with Ali and Steve that I think they've kind of stepped things up in terms of the challenges in their actual racing. I was a bit kind of underwhelmed and thought that they'd sort of do better early on, but I think that this could sort of be the start of a string of first places as they move forward.
Next in third, we had Jeff and Jackie. Fourth, Jelani and Jenny, who have completely gone off the radar of anything interesting. And fifth, Haley and Blair, which I think probably the best team left in the race, the most entertaining, because Haley is just a mess and I'm loving it. So Jared, Jeff and Jackie, Jelani and Jenny, and probably the most interesting, Haley and Blair.
I like all three of these teams. Probably Jenny and Jelani the least at the moment, which has changed a lot. But just every time you see them, they look unhappy to be there. I mean, that's the same with Blair and Haley, but I don't know. It's just different in a way. I think that Blair and Haley kind of still want to win, but Jenny and Jelani they just don't look happy to be there at all. They don't really seem that motivated anymore. I don't know. It's kind of a shame because they were doing really well, but now they're just kind of middle of the pack. But I don't know if they'll be able to sort of get things back together and get on the right track.
Alex, Jeff and Jackie, Jenny, Jelani, and Haley and Blair.
Well, like everyone said, Jenny and Jelani have just completely disappeared, and Jenny definitely doesn't look like she's much fun anymore. Jeff and Jackie, well, it was good to see them kind of having a few spats and kind of at least going through the relationship motions that Phil would have liked them to go through. I just don't particularly like them more than anything else. I just don't. They're entertaining. They bring the actual twist out. They're the only ones that seem to refer to any kind of romantic connection. And Blair and Haley, oh my god, they're just amazing to watch.
They're the best team left.
Oh, absolutely. Just the start where it's just like, we're not going to fight anymore yet. You just see his face just like, yeah. Just set a great tone. And it seemed like nothing even happened between like the first few things. Yet we suddenly came to Hayley just absolutely losing it at him. I can't even remember like anything being particularly bad between them early on in the leg, but she just lost it at him over and over again.
She just finds any excuse she can get, really, and I'm loving every minute of it. Colin, those three teams?
I think Jeff and Jackie are always solid. They're always somewhat entertaining. There wasn't as much going on from this week outside of that fight, but they're entertaining to watch regardless. Jelani and Jenny, I still have hope for them because the first few episodes, I think they were maybe the star team in at least the first 2 weeks. And I still think that if they can maybe get, a little bit more drama going on between them, that they'll really make the show watchable. Blair and Hayley, I mean, where do you start? The saddest thing is that, unfortunately, because of the format of this season, we're going to be robbed of ever seeing them in another All-Star season, because there's no way they're ever going to race together again, but it would be so great if they did. And I kind of...
That could be one of those, those couples trying to rekindle their relationship.
We're going to rekindle our 3-week non-romance on the Amazing Race. I really, in a way, hope they win, just because I can already see this winner's montage being put together where they just have the clip early on from, I think it was the first episode, where Hayley saying, I was really worried that I'd be put with a guy who wasn't into blondes, and he always has this awkward pause where he's like, yeah. And then you had the same thing in this week where she's like, yeah, we're definitely not going to click as a couple, but we're just really good friends racing together. And again, he had the same awkward pause like, yeah, friends, all right.
Poor Hayley. Rusty, those three teams, and specifically Blair and Hayley, I guess.
Jeff and Jackie have been good. They've been very consistent, which I like, and except for their exciting blow-up, which lasted 2 minutes. And due to the way that the episode was set up, we really didn't get to see Jenny and Jelani. They improved from last week, which was good. Or, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, our last episode. And Hayley, the Wicked Witch of the West, as someone referred to her as, the Ice Queen. She's all over the place, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement now that Hayley is by far the star of this season, and I thought she was wacky to start with, but she's living up to her reputation. That kind of middle team that's left over, just quick few thoughts on 7th, Mike and Rochelle, Rossi. I
thought it was funny at the very beginning when they didn't know what to do and they're stopping to get drinks and snacks. Right? Because she's had given up at that point.
That would be me. Yeah.
But quiet episode for them.
I feel like the race is definitely going to catch up to them in the next few weeks. Colin, Mike, and Rochelle.
I love Mike and Rochelle.
And Laura and Tyler as well.
Oh, well, yeah, Laura and Tyler. I mean, they lost a fanny pack.
There's a reason why I forgot about them in the final thoughts.
Was Tyler the one that after Hayley went by, he said something like, "I'm really happy with the partner I have"? Like, was it him that said that?
Yeah, I think that was him.
Yeah, but with Mike and Rochelle, I mean, I think I've been saying every week I love them, but I also have been saying every week that I love them at the bottom. They're just one of those teams that's so enjoyable to watch, just almost come close to being eliminated. And I think the reason that we didn't see much from them this week was because the show really had no other choice. They had to find some way to create suspense about who was going to go. And the only way to do that is to not show Mike and Rochelle and hope that you forget them. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, they're still in it. Maybe they're gone. But I'm still just waiting for that one challenge. I just want Rochelle to just like destroy some challenge. I mean, with obviously she's, very physical with her profession, and I want to see her get in a fight with somebody, like maybe a polar bear, or just wrestle a polar bear to the ground, something. It's got to be coming soon.
I feel like with Libby and CJ gone, Mike and Rochelle don't stand much more of a chance for a few more weeks left in the race. Alex, Mike and Rochelle, and Laura and Tyler.
Mike and Rochelle, they're one of your kind of, your feel-good teams. You enjoy them while they're there. They're a great novelty. and they usually get eliminated after 4 to 5 episodes, and I think we're kind of getting to that point now where it's just stepping up a notch and you know they're going to get left behind. But hopefully they'll be fun while they last. And yes, images of Rochelle chasing a puffin around a field is outstanding. Laura and Tyler, I actually like Laura and Tyler. They're very uninteresting in ways, but they're just kind of, they work together, they still provide entertainment through terrible mistakes each leg, and they just kind of have this good respect for each other, and yet they kind of bag the other teams at the same time. You kind of like this, well, it could have been a lot worse than putting us together, which I found quite entertaining, at least that they could see everyone else and kind of just give casual commentary. Also, they do the most selfies. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Bad thing. To me, Laura and Tyler are the Ali and Steve of the Blind Date. It's just, whatever. But they have their moments. And Mike and Rochelle are kind of that team that you expect around for that. But so were the food scientists. So Mike and Rochelle could be our winners in a few weeks' time. But Rossi, those two teams, Jared, sorry.
I don't mind either of them. Mike and Rochelle, I do think they're kind of living on borrowed time, but it is interesting that every single episode she brings up her son. Like, I think at least one mention in every single episode, whether it's the money's for him or Mike hasn't met my son yet, and this is just a test if Mike can meet him. And then Tyler and Laura, I think the best moment of the episode was just when they lost the fanny pack, and then they do the challenge, and they're just waiting in their car, and they were just acting so odd when, like, the other teams arrived. They'd be like, why are you here? And they'd just be like, oh, have a good day, like, do good at the challenge, see ya, or whatever, and they just kind of sat there and sort of nobody knew what they were doing.
Yeah, that's probably one of their better weeks, if I'm going to be fair to them. But last, and certainly least, number 8, Bergen and Kurt, Team Blonde Date. I think we lost something in this season when we lost Bergen and Kurt. I thought they definitely added something, and this was one of the best downfall episodes because literally everything went wrong, and they were getting penalties for everything. They turned up to a challenge and couldn't even do the challenge. I think, while I'm not overly sad to see them go, I think both Bergen and Kurt added something to the season that was entertaining. Bergen's constant bagging of Kurt, and Kurt just... Honestly, Kurt did seem like he was trying his hardest to do everything possible, and Bergen just saying that he's not trying at all, and that even though Bergen was the one driving, and I think both of them were very entertaining, but it's probably their due time. Jared, Team Blonde Date.
Yeah, they grew on me throughout the season. Originally, I couldn't stand them, but I just think their breakdowns were so funny. I did love how Bergen would just sort of bag out Kurt, and at least sort of in this episode, there was some sort of reason behind it, although he didn't really stand up for himself with staying with the car anyway. But like the past couple of episodes when he was just like, oh, Kurt's just not going to try, Kurt wants to quit, it was kind of like, where is this coming from? But at least this episode we got to see a little bit of it. But
am I the only one who feels terrible for poor old Kurt?
He never actually said anything, Kurt. He always just kind of, it was always by Bergen.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I did love sort of the ending with them and Phil coming to meet them, and Bergen being so annoyed, and then when they walk out of sort of the train station or wherever they were, and then they walk in different directions.
That was so, like, come on, that must have been so produced, and like, alright Bergen, you're going this way, Kurt. Like, it was just too perfect for that to be real, but I'd love to believe that was real. Alex, Team Blonde Date are gone now.
Ah, Bert, what a team. Entertaining. Again, I don't really know a lot about Kurt still, I feel like. I get he's and stuff like that. But it all just came via Bergen. Like, it was always Bergen.
Did Kurt speak in this season?
Look, he gave great facial expressions and things, but I mean, it was all via Bergen, and that was my problem. Like, Bergen, Kurt's rich, he doesn't need the money. I don't remember Kurt ever telling us that, like, he didn't want the money or he didn't want to win or anything. It was always just Bergen telling us that. I felt bad for the guy. But, I mean, surely he could have put up with the stick shift a bit longer. I mean, they could have played sticks.
What about, like, I found Bergen equally as entertaining as Kurt, but, like, it's like Bergen was the one who effed up the challenge this episode, and he was the one who gave up. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
I think he
I actually had to go back and watch that because I'm like, I thought he was the one driving, and I went back and I confirmed, like, he was the one driving and he's the one who said, let's stop. I think, if anything, maybe he was annoyed that Kurt, because we saw other teams try to switch, and maybe he's like, I can't drive this thing. Do you want to try, Kurt? And Kurt's like, no, I'd rather not do anything. That would be the only reason I could see him saying that. But otherwise, like, Bergen quit just as much as Kurt did.
Yeah, I didn't pick up, like, because Bergen was super pissed. Kurt was just standing there taking it. Alex, so did you have anything else to add on Team Bomb Day?
No, that's about it. They're done. See ya.
Colin, did you have anything else other than Bergen was the one who gave up?
I really would have liked to have seen what their penalties would have equaled in this episode had they just played it out. Because, yeah, you're going to get a penalty for not doing the challenge, but even if they had found a way to finish this, how many penalties would they have gotten for every time the clue said, you must drive, and they're like, all right, cab, all right, train. Like, their penalties would have been astronomical. I want even just an off-air statistic on what their penalties would have been. Like, 12 days? It's bound to be really bad.
Well, who were the dancers in Canada 2? It was like the second or third episode. They took 2 penalties like that to build some sand hammock thing or something, and then they had to take 2-hour penalty on that, and then they couldn't do the other challenge. Like, this team got like a 6-hour penalty, but then another team happened to break their arms, so like the best luck ever. But yeah, I reckon their penalties would have added up a fair bit. Who was one of the teams in season 1 had like a 24-hour penalty.
Oh, the good old... I
Nancy and Emily, was it?
Yeah. We were so devastated at that episode because I loved it.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was a 24-hour penalty.
It was. Yeah.
Well,
No, I'm talking Bergen and Kurt.
There was also the same season the Guidos who didn't even get to the final leg. They were stuck in Alaska carrying ice or something.
Another great moment. So many great moments that season.
Rossi, Team Blonde.
Yeah, it was interesting the way that they had set up the team, like in the editing of Bergen getting all the air and Kurt not really even saying anything.
Is Kurt a mute?
I guess the reason that Bergen finally gave up this episode is probably because what we haven't seen of Kurt is what he's been saying about giving up and all these things. I wish they had shown something if that were the case. It's hard
in fairness to Bergen, Kurt was pretty shitty at eating noodles.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I want to see a season where Kurt comes back with his newfound boyfriend and Bergen comes back with his newfound boyfriend, and it's like the Amazing Race rivalry is Bergen versus Kurt. Well, we've got blind dates versus real couples, so it wouldn't surprise me if season 27 was Bergen versus Kurt.
Can we just put Kurt with Haley and just have like the greatest...
Kurt and Haley would be a pretty epic team. Or Bergen and Kurt, and they get to pick one member from the past 26 seasons to join them on their team. So we've got like Nadia and Kurt versus Bergen and ABBA or something. Make this happen, CBS. But yeah, I was kind of sad to see Bergen and Kurt. They were entertaining in their own right. Bergen for constantly shitting on Kurt, and Kurt for just being there in the background making hilarious facial expressions. But pretty epic downfall for them. Probably worse than Team New Kid and Team Marry Me Now, Libby and CJ. But yeah, so that's it for this episode. I've written next to Bergen and Kurt, brackets, Jeff losing his voice. Does anyone know what that note means? Jeff losing his voice?
Did you mean Phil?
Yeah. Phil sounded like he was losing his voice.
Yeah, did Phil lose his voice with Bergen and Kurt?
It sounded like he was losing it the whole episode.
Yeah, don't know what Phil's been up to. But yeah, so Jeff/Phil lost his voice apparently. That's my cryptic note taking.
I feel like a great time Oktoberfest, surely.
Yeah, too much March Madness for Phil. So, let's see, next week, I didn't write down where we're going next week. Anyone know where we're going this week? Probably my worst week for note-taking. Do we know? No. Well, we'll be back next week because it's not March Madness. I need a hashtag for Team Blonde. Rossi, give me a Team Blonde. And I wish you'd say your funny comments on the actual show because that was pretty funny. What's a better hashtag than hashtag Team Blonde?
Team Bergen.
This is a pretty good one. Colin, Team Blonde, what's better?
I don't think I can top your screen name right now, which is Team Bomb Date.
Alex?
Team can't handle the stick.
Well, certainly can't handle each other's sticks. I think they're destined for someone else. Automatic, I think they're going to look for that later. Jared, wrap this up with a better team hashtag Blondie.
Oh, I don't know if I can come up with something better, but I'll just say, Team Don't Blame Me, he's a ripped kid.
I want Team The Clown and I don't know what you call Bergen, but Kurt in clown makeup is what I want to see. So facts on Bergen and Kurt while someone finishes their 10th beer Oktoberfest. Bergen Olsen and Kurt Jordan Belcher are a blind dating couple on the 26th season. Thanks. 23 Bergen, Kurt's 24. Yeah, Kurt is a pageant consultant. Bergen is a HR project manager.
That was always going to end well.
Trivia. We don't have much post race for Bergen and Kurt. Like Bergen and Kurt separated after the race, but
they're the first the blind date team eliminated.
Is that true? Yeah, that is true.
Well, technically, Mark and Mallory weren't dating, I guess.
Well, Mark and Mallory the first blind date on the post race. After the race, Mark and Mallory separated. Trivia for Bergen and Kurt. I haven't read these pre-episodes, so what I'm reading might come out really bad. Along with Haley and Blair, Jeff and Jackie, Jelani and Jenny, and Laura and Tyler, Bergen and Kurt are the second team to race without a pre-existing relationship, after Mark and Mallory. Bergen and Kurt are the first team to receive the date night ticket and give it to another team. Oh my god. Really? Bergen and Kurt are the first blind dating team to be eliminated. I'm sorry, people listening who are hoping for some interesting Bergen and Kurt trivia. I feel like I've let everyone down. That's it for the episode. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we finally get something interesting. Hashtag burn. So unless anyone else has anything else to add, predictions. Yes, Rossi, thank you. I'm a bit off my game. Let's quickly go through the predictions. I said that Bergen and Kurt would be the first boots. So I was wrong, but let's see here. Alex Morella said that Bergen and Kurt would be ninth. Close. Jared, shall I even read Jared's? Bergen and Kurt 10th. Not too bad, Jared, but you're already out of it now. Rossi said that Bergen and Kurt would be third. Well, we can't laugh at you too much, because Kristen said that Bergen and Kurt would be third, which would be a pretty good third. Your final three is Jack and Jeffrey, Ali and Steve, and Bergen and Kurt. So you could 2 out of 3, Rossi. And Colin said Bergen and Kurt would be 8th. So, Colin, you got the point this week. So, I believe you're leading now, Colin.
I hope so.
Yes.
I think I won last year.
Well, my folder, which I had the tally, seems to have gone missing from my computer just to make me even more unorganised this week. So, I spent about half an hour trying to find it. Yes, Rossi?
Isn't Jared winning? Fine.
Jared was. Well, if it's golf, then Jared is winning, yes, because he is on 0.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it for this week. Unless anyone else has anything burning to add or anything else on Team Blonde. But other than that, Colin, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Always glad to be here.
Looking forward to twinning later today or tomorrow, Colin.
It'll be the highlight of my day.
Stay tuned for that. Rossi, thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed your cheesel pudding.
It was delicious. Thank you, Noah.
Alex, thanks for being here. Keep driving those forwards.
Always will, Noah.
And make sure to read Alex's written recap for this episode, which will be up with what you're listening to right now, so you have no excuses. You have to read it. It's very entertaining, and I love the counts he's been doing on selfies and other assorted marriage things and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely read that. And Jared, you were last, but you weren't least, so that's a good thing. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to next week. If Rochelle might go, I could get a point.
Well, we know Michelle and Reich. Rock and Michelle and Mike. Rochelle and Mike. I'm out of here. I can't do
They're
this
going
anymore.
right after Kurgan and Bert.
I'm not even going to plug this stuff. This is just... Michelle and Reich are my favourite team, and this is going down, 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 and we'll speak to you next time on the trains. Good night, America, Australia, and the world. Planes! See you on the planes!